Hey everyone, a quick message before we get started with the episode. It's very exciting that a few pod friends of mine have been nominated for the Discover Pods Award. If you go to awards.discoverpods.com and hit on Vote Now, you can find that Pod Appetit, Drinking and Screaming, Ignorance Was Bliss, and Varmints have all been nominated for awards. So if you get the chance to go, again, that's awards.discoverpods.com. Voting is open until November 6th. So it would be amazing if you went, voted for Pod Appetit, Best Food Focused, Drinking and Screaming, People's Choice Award, Ignorance Was Bliss, Interview Style, and Varmints for Kids and Family. Again, voting is open until November 6th, awards.discoverpods.com. I'll also link to that in the show notes. Please vote, and let's get these podcasts the awards that they so much deserve. Congratulations, and good luck. Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath, the podcast that explores the movies that influenced how we view love and romantic relationships. Yes, there will be spoilers. I'm your host, Diana Rojek Skonnord. To mirth, to merriment, to manslaughter. Wonderful toast from Gomez Addams from the movie Addams Family Values that we're going to be covering today. And I am very pleased to have producer Ryan join me for this episode. Cara mia.
Oh man, I was going to say that. Ma chérie.
Is that the correct reply?
That's the correct reply if you're addressing a woman. I believe they said mon cher.
Mon cher. I was about to say, don't. Okay, there's actual language, and then there's like what I learned from Addams Family, so don't mess with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, wow. So Addams Family Values, 1993.
Yes.
I will point out that this is my pick. I think we have drained every possible pick for you, unless something kind of crawls into the back of your head later on.
We've used up all of my good ideas. Yeah, perhaps we'll scrape the bottom of the barrel, or I'll think of something better, as you say.
Okay, first of all, how dare you refer to it as scraping as the bottom of the barrel? Because I've been doing this for definitely over 50 movies, and there's no barrel scraping. It turns out it's a better episode than you think it'll be.
It turns out the bottom of the barrel is where the best cheese is.
Is this a French thing again?
No, I'm insulting your taste.
Oh,
No,
but cheese is delicious.
Of course it is. No, I love cheesy movies sometimes.
Oh, cheese! Damn it. Okay, when you bring up food and cheese is delicious, and I'm so confused right now.
I'm sorry, too much wordplay in this movie. It put me in a mood.
Well, I mean, you had mentioned earlier off mic that it's. Explain to me how this was a one joke movie.
Oh yeah, I said that it was a bit of one note comedy, but it hit it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And rather surprisingly, it didn't really feel like it wore itself out. With it like a lot of the verbal wit and such was all kind of hitting the same gag of like, oh, they say something shocking and morbid, but it's like, oh no, the actor's charisma is kind of carrying this through. I'm somehow not tired of this joke yet. Yeah. It's still funny every time somehow. Nice.
Well, okay, allow me to point out the cast of characters that have this particular charisma. But more specifically, for those who have not seen Addams Family Values, it is the sequel to the 1991 Addams Family, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. And it's based on the characters from the late 1930s, comics from, I believe, Charles Addams, and then there was a 1960s television show. There's been many cartoons, and there actually came out one last year, and there's going to be a sequel to that one this year. And just, they're interesting and compelling characters for a reason. But from Wikipedia, Gomez and Morticia Addams hire a nanny named Debbie Jelinski to take care of their newborn son, Pubert, after his older siblings, Wednesday and Pugsley, failed attempts to murder him. Yes, I read that correctly. Unbeknownst to them, Debbie is a serial killer who marries rich bachelors and murders them to collect their inheritances. And after Debbie seduces Uncle Fester, Wednesday becomes suspicious of her intentions. To maintain her cover, Debbie tricks Gomez and Morticia into believing that Wednesday and Pugsley want to go to summer camp. And going back to that charisma, we have Anjelica Huston, Raul Julia, R.I.P. This is so upsetting because this is the last movie that was released while he was alive. Mm-hmm. And then Street Fighter came out after after he had died, and I'm just like, that is a perfect legacy right there. As Gomez Addams. I mean, I know there's a little bit more I don't know if the dignified roles in the past.
A true 90s pop culture opus. I know he was considered a very talented actor in some more serious roles ahead of time that I mostly have not seen. But.
And it's really a shame, though, because he just from those roles, you know that he does not phone it in. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think he and Nicolas Cage would just be dueling it out with their roles if he were still alive?
Heartbreak that we'll never get to see.
We'll never know. I mean, I guess we can always dream. So okay,
can you imagine him in Face Off?
I want to now. Holy crap. Okay, I'm sorry. Christopher Lloyd is Uncle Fester, hamming it up, and it's a nice contrast to Gomez. Christina Ricci as Wednesday, and I'll point out once again, as I've mentioned before on the podcast, the subject of my envy for years, because I wanted to be Wednesday Addams. Like, not so much an actress, so much as just like, I want to be cool. She's cool. Can I be cool? Okay. Let's see here.
I think we'll be coming back to that, but please continue with the cast.
I'm already afraid. Okay. You've got Jimmy Workman as Pugsley, and then Christopher Hart as Thing, and Carel Struycken as Lurch. Carol Kane is Grandmama, which I think she was killing it. But she kind of was like the character from The Princess Bride again. I don't know.
Yeah, who are you going to cast in that role besides Carol Kane?
Well, a funny thing is that she actually replaced the woman who was Grandmama in the first one.
Never mind.
So Judith
I've never
Malina.
seen the first one.
Yeah, I know. We'll hold on to that. Joan Cusack as Debbie.
Is this a Cusack run?
I am going to kind of just toddle.
Okay.
There shan't be running this time around.
Can it be a run of one movie?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Definitional questions.
Okay, right. Producer, just take off the producer hat for a minute and be a guest.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, that's actually kind of a guest question, too, if you've listened. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Dana Ivey, speaking of you haven't seen the first one, Dana Ivey reprises her role as Margaret Alford, who was from the first movie. Mm-hmm. And David Krumholtz is Joel, who is, I will say, just Wednesday's love interest. Right. Christine Baranski. Fantastic. I think Christine Baranski is like the ultimate seasoning to any movie. And she needs to be added, if ever possible, as one of the two camp counselors here. And Peter MacNicol is her, husband.
I know. When they showed up midway through the movie, I was like astonished. Like, this cast is so stacked. They just
it is, and I was wondering, because they're saying, like, here's the cast. This is what Wikipedia has. Here's the cast, and here's the cameo roles. And I'm just like, you can't call them cameos. These are just where the people were in their career. And then they decided to, go on and win some, like, Tonys and freaking Oscars.
Yeah, so much talent. Nathan Lane in that one scene.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so let me make sure I finish this here. So Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, who played one of the nannies, the first one, she was the environmental nanny.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, well, her hair wasn't as bright red as it usually is. Yeah. Okay, so yes, definitely Nathan Lane. David Hyde Pierce as the doctor who was in the delivery room.
Oh, I missed that too.
Yeah. Okay, so there was Nathan Lane. Peter Graves as the host of the America's Most Disgusting Unsolved Crimes.
Right.
That's just again, it's Peter Graves being just so much dignity. You may not necessarily know them as household names, but Sam McMurray and Harriet Sansom Harris were Amanda's parents, played by Mercedes McNab, who she was also in the first Addams Family, and she is also best known as Harmony Kendall from the Buffy series. Mm-hmm. So I think that worked pretty well. And finally, in my note there, Tony Shalhoub as Jorge, who was dancing with Debbie, and she's just like, I gotta get home to my husband. And I'm just like, it's Tony Shalhoub singing Macho Man. Let's watch this on a loop for at least 3 more times. But we did not have the time to do that.
Yes.
Macho. Oh, damn it. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so Ryan.
Yes.
This was the first time you saw this, and you stated that you did not see the first one.
Yeah, this was approximately the first time I saw it. I actually did see part of it on an airplane as a child when it was contemporary. But I didn't really watch it, and I think those weird pneumatic earphones that they had back then, because they didn't have like electric headphone jacks back then. You had to rent like the weird rubbery ones that blasted air into your ears. And you remember those?
No. Oh wait, are they the ones that look like stethoscope ears?
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
Yeah, and like I remember my ears were already kind of hurting from the pressure, so I didn't particularly want to wear them, and I wasn't that interested in the movie, and I wound up watching like maybe 20, 30 minutes of it and didn't really remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was I do remember being kind of inundated in the marketing for this movie because there was this whole Addams Family thing in the 90s where it underwent this weird pop culture revival. I think the original series was like it had just been reintroduced into Nick at Night or their spin-off cable thing, whatever that other channel was called. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I don't, but is it kind of like in the early 2010s where like Golden Girls was on Netflix and then it just kind of exploded?
Yeah, something like that. Only I don't think it was as grassroots as that might have been. It was
there was no Netflix back then, so.
Of course, and there was no internet back then to have these like grassroots pop culture phenomena. No, this was a more commercial thing. Like I remember there being a video game. I remember Pugsley Addams being on the cover of my Nintendo Power magazine one issue, and there was this whole thing that I never played the game. And oh yes, I also remember the breakfast cereal with the dang like they adapted the theme song into a commercial jingle for the cereal, and it was like constantly on my cartoons and stuff, and I got a bit sick of hearing it. So
oh wow,
so
you had no chance.
Yeah, so this was like you know, you're a kid in the 90s and like Addams Family, everyone loves it. You love this clearly here, but play our video game, eat our breakfast cereal, and
let's look at the nostalgia factor. So if it's early 90s and the TV show was on in the 60s and probably for a good chunk of the 60s. So it's about time for that revival to happen.
Yeah, I guess so. Like everyone who remembers it from their childhood is in charge of the networks and such. And as a kid's perspective, it was weird because like, you know, when you're that age, you're like vaguely aware that there are these, you know, cultural things from before you were born, but they're kind of all the same. Like like whether it was in like the 70s or the 60s or 50s, it all blurs together. You know, I watched Happy Days for a long time before learning it was a period piece, you know?
Right.
and yeah, I remember like asking my mom about these strange characters, and she would explain who, like, you know, Cousin It and Thing were. It's like, oh, this is just something that you should know. This is just part of the social fabric, you know. So
I thought you were still talking about Happy Days. Mork
and Fonz
and Fonz, you know, the normal characters.
Right.
Poor Ron Howard. He got Urkeled before there was an Urkel. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So it was kind of like permeated in the culture.
Yeah. Exactly. And like I said, that 20 minutes on an airplane just fit exactly in with that sense of dim awareness of like, this is a thing that people like and is popular, and I don't think I really get it, but I kind of get it. So
well, without the sound though, you can't hear the quips.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think I watched like maybe 15 or 20 minutes with the sound on, and then like occasionally glanced up from my book for the rest of the movie. Didn't really, you know, follow the story. So.
Do you remember what scene it was?
No, I remember watching some of the like early like establishing stuff before the plot really got moving, like before Debbie was introduced, like right around there.
Oh, so, okay, got it. Oh man, I'm just kind of thinking about it though. I mean, just rewatching this and some parts of this I do remember really, really well. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait to get your, you know, gauge your reactions for all of this, which of course is very distracting when I'm trying to take notes for the podcast. But I'm just like, oh, something I do remember very well. I'm going to have a baby right now. And that's how I want to give birth.
I believe you had shown me that clip on YouTube at least once, and I found it very funny.
It's got to be that one. It's got to be the part where Debbie is doing the slideshow of her childhood, and then it has to be 100% the play at the camp.
Yes, I remember. I also remember you describing that to me verbally, like some years ago, as you were. As you were recounting your special relationship with this movie.
It's kind of interesting because it's like one of those movies where I forget how much I enjoy it. And then, you know, reading the cast and then remembering the characters, like who is your favorite character in this movie? I do not have an answer to that question, mainly because like everyone. Okay, so it's not Fester because ew.
What's wrong with Fester?
Ew. I'm sure he's a lovely man over there. I mean, he's a little bit. I mean, some jokes, you know, they're funny, but that also they don't sit quite right. You know, Gomez trying to comfort him, like, you know, so one of these days, you know, you'll find a woman, one who doesn't write up a restraining order against you. And also the way he apparently learned about sex watching Morticia and Gomez through the keyholes, and it's just like, ew.
Yeah, that was
I'm sure it was okay, but yes, let's not focus on all of it because
it was more in the implication. It wasn't.
It's okay.
The movie wasn't gross about it, to my memory.
They're creepy and they're kooky, so it's okay.
Sure.
I don't know. It's okay, I guess. Also, they have a...
Could they not put the word kinky in the theme song back in the 60s? Or?
I think they did it like... Oh my god, Gomez and Morticia.
Yes?
They're so kinky. I'm just thinking about it. I was getting through all of this. I'm just like, wow, I learned so much from these three couples here.
Right, yeah. Which couple are we talking about anyway? Polina leaves immediately. The show jumps off the rails structurally.
It's Wednesday and Joel.
Okay.
That was because I was 13 when this movie came out.
I had a hunch.
Wait, shit. No, I'm not. I wasn't. I was 10. I was 10 when this movie came out. I can't math.
Okay.
I'm tired and I can't math. I was 10.
Did you study in college again?
What?
What did you study in college again?
Symbols.
Okay.
Symbols of my middle finger up at you right now. Geez. So I think I used Christina Ricci as my, what is the word where you want to be them?
Role model?
She wasn't my role model. No. She was like in the story you want to
like a audience insert point of view character.
Kind of. Role model isn't the right word, but it's just like fine. I was jealous as hell of like I want to be the Wednesday Addams, and this movie is not helping that whole thing where I grew up thinking that you find a relationship when you are on vacation.
Right.
It's such a ingrained thing. It has to be a trope. I have yet to look up the trope, and I don't know if it has a name, but it's just like it's all over the place where you find a relationship, and in her case, it was her first relationship. Mm-hmm. While she, having the opportunity for a whole bunch of people to come together, little people because it's a camp. It's just like you get to get out of your environment. And that's kind of like how I ended up, where it's just like, hey, high school, elementary school, middle school, high school, like, you think it would be middle school because finally there's like all of these people, but for some reason it just still seems like a small pool to work with, and then you get to high school and there's even more people, and it still wasn't enough, and I had fixated on like the same group of guys that
you're still basically in the same social circle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of weird, even though it was growing and there was opportunities, you're still stuck in these classes where it's just like 30 people, 20 people, 30 people, and it's usually the same people because I was in the same damn classes with the same set of people.
Yeah, I don't think that trope is entirely limited to the world of fiction. I mean, in real life, it's like, these things happen when you meet new people. And when you're a kid, the only time you meet new people and break out of these existing social circles is, perhaps when you go on vacation. And then, that's not so dissimilar to being an adult. You're never going to start a new relationship if you keep seeing the old friends. It's always like, how do I meet people? It's like, well, you go socialize, you start new hobbies, or go to bars, or go on Tinder, or some variation thereof.
Pre-internet when I was 10, and also please don't have me on Tinder at 10. That's like so against the terms and conditions, I assume. I
would assume 10-year-olds on Tinder was not such a concern in 1993.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Speaking of the Michael Jackson cameo in this movie. Yeah, that was weird because, thinking about, all that's come out about Michael Jackson since then, but apparently he was supposed to do a song for this, but then the allegations were in that realm. I guess one first round of allegations, and they put a poster of him in there and Joel screaming at it. And
that's how we wound up with the rap over the end credits?
A
true travesty.
No, that's the only thing that makes it feel like a 90s movie. So... yeah, that was a weird segue into nothing that was real.
Well,
I saw a shot and I took it. Yeah. Okay, so is there any one of these relationships that you kind of looked at and saw some sort of parallels in your own experiences? Don't say Fester.
Well, it definitely got me thinking of some of the observations that I've heard. I think going back to the original TV series, like one of the most common reflections you would hear about why that show is memorable is that it said that like out of all of the sitcom married couples on television, they were like the only ones who showed any like real physical desire for each other.
Right. I don't think they showed beds, but like in that time period, weren't there like the 2-bed, marriage type of situation? And if we're looking at like Lucy and Desi,
yeah,
and it's just like, oh, my crazy wife always trying to get into things. I'm like, yeah, but you love her, right?
You're
not just always pissed at her.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like to go with that example, I think they showed plenty of affection towards each other, but it wasn't really like lustful in any way. It was just sort of like chaste, kind of household intimacy. And I've seen a few episodes of the Addams Family series. I don't recall any bedroom scenes, but I do recall like tangos and like neck kissing and. So.
Tangos and neck kissing.
Yes.
Noted. I'm actually thinking about it. It was John Astin who played Gomez, and I have a better memory of him because he was also in Return of the Killer Tomatoes as one of the mad scientists, and that may appear on the podcast at one point, but we'll get back to that later. George Clooney with a perm, and he was not the one I had a crush on in that movie, but let's save that for later. Apologies to the actress who played Morticia, but to me, like Gomez, just because of who I am, it's like, yes, John Astin is there, and that's really cool and all, but it's just like Raul Julia.
Yes, he was. There's certainly no one who could have played that role better, and Anjelica, it's Huston, yeah. Even though it's spelled Huston, I always want to say Huston. That's not correct. Okay,
go ask her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they were both amazingly cast and amazing visuals too. I was almost distracted by the lighting trick that they did. I'm sure you noticed that where like every single scene there's like this little rectangle of light across Morticia's eyes, and sometimes she even like walks into it. It must have been some crazy like blocking to make all that happen. And
I feel bad because that probably really limited her, and she probably could have done more.
But that worked with the character too, because she's just like completely still all the time, and it's stoic. Like it's actually the complete opposite of Fester, because that was like amazing physical acting, where he's just like throwing his entire upper body into every line. It's like the head and the shoulders and the arms, and then you have Morticia, who like somehow manages to deliver every line at this like completely perfect level of. I don't even know how to put it into words with this like weird mix of like dignity and what am I? Poise, yeah. With like dripping with irony as she's saying these outrageous things, and she does it like just completely still all the time. Probably in part to make the lighting work, but also just because that's the crazy contrast in acting styles, but it all came together so well.
Oh yeah.
And before we get too far afield of your question that I owed you an answer for there, I think watching this movie as an adult in a stable, happy marriage, I do think that, dropping compliments into the...
My husband's stable.
That, it made me think about like, it's even to this day, it might be a little bit unusual in a comedy to have like this central married couple that's like almost completely free of strife. They don't argue, they don't bicker over insignificant stuff for the sake of a laugh. They just they love each other and they respect each other, and they're always on the same page about the various conflicts and dramas that are going on, and it just like completely works within all the other character dynamics, and it's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the honeymooners and how everything is just like, one of these days I'm gonna punch you in the face. And I love that line from That's My Bush from
right.
From whoa, that was an old Comedy Central TV show. And I really like that because it just, for a really long time, it was just so easy to crack a joke on behalf of your spouse. It's just like, I gotta laugh. And now my marriage is a little bit weaker. Hooray, and if anything, it's easier to just kind of team up with your spouse and just, prey on the weak. I mean, damn it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm working on trying to, not.
No, it's in the spirit of the movie.
Right, yeah. And what's so funny is that a couple of the scenes, I had to think like, I know this is meant to be like a family movie, but like, is this rated? This better be rated PG-13 because, in the beginning of it, it's just like, first of all, watching Uncle Fester get laid is just really uncomfortable. Implied laid.
I'm glad they didn't go any further with that.
Which was pretty helpful. But yeah, I'm also happy that in my memory I remembered it as a blowjob. So I'm pleased to know that was a false memory. But
fighting with Ghostbusters? I don't know. Like, what?
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean,
that was also uncomfortable.
Same facial expression.
I
assume. I don't know. But no, what I really enjoy is like when they're so the new baby is on the way pubert, and they're in the waiting room, and you've got the girl so mommy and daddy, they got a jewel and that became a baby, and I love the joke. Our parents are having a baby too. They had sex. Oh my god, and that's going to be my my tally of uses: blowjob, sex, and all of these words for the rest of the podcast for 2020.
Okay.
Yes, because uncomfortable right now. Take over for a minute. I'm going to just go fan my face.
All right. Well, sex is a biological process by which...
what did I just say about like not poking at our spouses for the sake of the joke? Okay, fine. So Gomez and Morticia, yes. I believe on the internet they refer to that as #goals.
Right.
So I agree wholeheartedly. And on the other side of that, Homicide and Debbie and Fester, right. Because who doesn't want so much money? What did I say at the end of this movie? I want to be independently wealthy.
Right. So was that like Fester's money that she was spending? I was a little bit confused
Adam's
on the
money.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like the stocks and the bonds and
so she like liquefied all those assets to buy that mansion and the
I'm willing to wager. So like there's like a weird implication that in the beginning she had no money left.
Right.
But then like
that that cut over to like the lonely dollar bill and a few quarters on the nightstand to indicate this is all the money she has left from her last marriage scam murder thing.
Well, you know that this movie is incredibly subtle.
Sure.
So that's there. But I think
film is a language.
I think what happened is like she probably had a lien on all of these things and she was able to get them all back. I'm willing to wager he had that much money. Like, okay, so as much as I don't want to remind people of the pandemic, like the Addamses have very, very simple lives. And you notice that there was a kind of a throwaway comment of $20,000 for that summer camp. So when they want to, they can really spend the money. And the first one is also like there's a huge amount of Addams money. And I'm willing to wager it's because like they're able to get like this feels like a very old family. Like maybe a little bit of like Twilight and how that family is really freaking rich. They're probably really, really, really fucking old. And we're able to just like, you know, accumulate all this money because they've been around for freaking ever. And they have like wealth of knowledge and all this other stuff. And also they probably don't spend a lot because they don't want to do anything. Much like in the pandemic, how you and I have accumulated more savings than when we usually are allowed to go out.
We can't go have any fun.
No, fun costs money. Instead, we're walking around the block and trying to be like healthy and crap.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a nice evening. We walked past the same tree as the past 5 weeks.
Damn that tree. So yes, we've got Debbie, who I'm willing to wager that she put a huge dent in Fester's money. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like irrelevant to him.
Right. Yeah.
Come on. Those bonds and shit were in a pile. He clearly does not care.
Right.
Maybe I should have gotten more information from the first one. It's like, I swear it involves their lawyer and everything like that.
That plot was also about someone trying to scam the family out of their money, I gather.
Yeah, right. It was. It involved like Fester was missing. And
also centering around Fester.
Damn it, Fester. I mean, is that just kind of once again proving that Gomez and Morticia are so solid that it has to be the quirky...
Yeah, every family has a weak link.
Damn it.
And if you don't know who it is, it's you.
Damn it. Okay. Wait, it's you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, no.
We knew that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true because it is not our dog. Okay. Okay, so let's turn our focus a little bit towards like Wednesday and Joel.
Okay.
Because that was
Joel. I didn't pick up his name during the movie. I knew that'd be important.
I named him David because David is the name of the actor who played it. Sure. And I looked it up. Oh, it's Joel. Okay, Joel. Good job, Joel. Again, I was 10 years old. When this movie came out, so probably I was like maybe 11, 12 when I actually watched it. Definitely a blockbuster rental situation. Shout out to Paulina. You know, got to know what format it is on. It was on VHS. I rented in the blockbustery, you know, plasticky covery thing.
I don't know what format they show it on an airplane.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Probably just tape.
Dear Pan Am, you're gone too. What did you show your movies on? So again, as Christina Ricci was basically like what I was striving for, and all this other stuff. Watching them together, like as an adult, it's really uncomfortable to watch. Basically, like a 12-year-old. Like have their thing. She said, like, what about the future, like 7th grade? So I'm like, okay, so we're talking like 12, something like that. But in reality, she's probably has the soul of a 173-year-old.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, especially with all that poison she's been drinking. And so...
So are you speculating that these characters are like literally older than they appear, or when you were just saying like the family is old money, like the family, not the individual people, right?
Kind of both.
Okay. Because I don't think they're meant to be like immortal or unaging or anything. And there was some mention of like their ancestors in the graveyard and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. But the thing is, though, please explain how Fester managed to survive all the things that he did. They have to be older than they are.
I'm not sure that makes them eternally youthful. I think that just goes in with like the implied kink of like, the physical pain and damage is not... It's more just like a fun afternoon for them. Got it.
Well, the fact that the man survived having a, electronic device thrown into a bathtub and he's able to, light a light bulb with it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, yes, I agree with you on the whole not eternally youthful, but at the same time, there's something up with them where they probably have like really long life. Oh my God.
I'd be on board with that.
Oh yeah, sure. Do you think like the death of the death of Debbie is able to like prolong their life in a way that's like not sacrificial, even though they would probably make comments about that, but it's just like, oh, that's just what happens.
What?
Okay.
I think we're getting off into like fanfic territory.
No,
here.
Not fanfic territory. Okay, so like I was also thinking as I was watching this, I'm wondering if there's something in the realm of just like American Horror Story, like when people die, they're stuck there in a kind of a way. But like
not like as ghosts necessarily, but like her life energy that they feed on it.
Or... Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so they're able to like live these lives that do not work into the conventions of regular like science.
That's a little morbid. I don't think they're like killing people to exploit them. I think that just all this stuff is
no.
Like even unintentionally, but
no, I think that's what's happening though. Is like, okay, fine, maybe not. No, like especially unintentionally, it would not.
Well, exclusively unintentionally. Like clearly, these characters are not murderers. They're well.
I mean, kind of.
Well, the kids are, but they're the innocence of youth.
Okay, but also the
I was going to say the stripper. No, that was also clearly an accident.
It was an accident.
But yeah, they're manslaughterers. They aren't murderers. They're just like
it was in a speech.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just people around whom death kind of happens.
That's the other thing, though. You remember when Wednesday and Pugsley took down the camp? They set it on fire,
right?
And there was this kind of implied roasting the 2 camp counselors.
Yeah,
and also the girl who, okay, I will be 100% honest. I believe we all had an Amanda in our lives that we wanted to see face plant, not necessarily set her on fire, but at the same time, if something bad happened to her, we were not going to be upset about it. Mm-hmm. And Wednesday was the leader that we all deserved. Damn it. I did not have the courage to be Wednesday.
So about that, what was it like you wanting to be Wednesday? Is that like you wanted the freedom to be quiet and surly, but also like charismatic and
I don't know if charismatic is the right
self-assured
word. Was she though?
Was she self-assured?
You got to see a little bit of the cracks in her when she started talking to Joel, and I think for the most part, Wednesday knows who she wants to be.
Right.
So, yes to that.
As they all do. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the running theme throughout the family.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. In fact, I think we were talking about this off air a little bit. That's another one of the big, like, recurring observations that I've heard about the original TV series, the one in the 60s. And it's kind of placed in pop culture that it was on the air at the same time as The Munsters, which had a very similar kind of conceit to it. And I've heard it observed that like the big difference between those shows is that like the Munsters wanted to blend in. They thought of themselves as normal people, and they were sort of cheerfully oblivious to what was so strange about them. Whereas the Addams family, knew what they were and embraced it and didn't want to be anything else.
Gotcha. I mean, why would you want to be if you could live a life that you did?
If you're that cool.
Freaking cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's Wednesday is that character archetype of I don't fit in, but I don't care. I'm content to be an outcast, because why would I not want to be?
I mean, she comes from like a really stable family.
True.
And she has like this amazing example of what a romantic relationship should be with her parents. If anything, that would make me really like uncomfortable that I wouldn't find that. Because theirs is like really specific and rare. Although it makes me believe those, it's just like, oh, they're the weirdos and you have this outside world. But you look at how big the family is. And clearly because, Gomez and Morticia came together to, kind of create and build this family, that there has to be some others that are like that, but not actual Addamses.
Yeah, we see various like cousins and aunts and uncles, some like more supporting characters who show up at the wedding scene and so on.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right, exactly. But we can't think that they're all family, right? Because that would just be odd.
Not all of them. No, I think a few at
incestuous.
least. There was that one from the other movie. And,
Dana Ivey's character.
Yeah.
Who, again, she fell in love with Cousin It.
Right.
And but again, it shows you that outsiders can come in and come together. And again, in the whole weird scientific realm of what Cousin It was versus, anyways,
it's better not to ask.
I did just ask.
Stop it.
I can't stop the podcast and unask.
You're just too inquisitive for your podcast. I'm good.
I like to make it make sense. I beg your pardon.
Oh, that is kind of why we're here.
Okay. So, of their awkward teenage relationship, let's look at the very basics of like what was actually possible and what we saw of them, because that was not the center of this movie at all. But that didn't.
No, it was supporting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of everything was.
Well, sure. Yeah.
So, what did you think about their? Did you think that they were cute together? Because again, you're seeing it as an adult.
I was charmed by the kind of like small band of outcasts against the world thing, and that's always a very fun environment in which to form these kinds of emotional bonds, especially when you're very young. So yeah, as prepubescent romance goes, that's a cute way to go about it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, do you have an instance where you think like, oh, they're interested in each other? Because I'm not going to say when did they fall in love.
I was going to say, do 12-year-olds even fall in love, or is that the? I mean,
I would say yes, but because what you feel then is real.
Oh, sure.
I mean, like, would their love necessarily withstand like the difficulties of adulthood? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when I've been on the show in the past, I tend to take a rather strict approach to the whole like love terminology. It's like, oh well, they were infatuated, but and yeah, sure, and I think we were getting some like signals in the none too subtle style of this movie that the crush was like from the very beginning. Like there was that weird like violin music in the score when the first time they see each other. It's like,
well, he also had his inhaler.
Exactly, and she's like noticing that like, oh, inhaler. Like I don't.
Oh, okay. I did not think that.
No, I didn't. No, but I think it was like she was recognizing a fellow like non-conforming.
Definitely a non-conforming, but I think it was just like, he is also brunette. He's not one of the pod people.
Right.
So, I mean, I also wanted to find a non-conforming guy.
How did that work out for you? I apologize for being blonde.
You're so damn blonde.
Yes, I am.
That's no good. I did want a dark-haired guy.
I would have been one of the pod people with rich parents.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
At the frou-frou camp.
What would be doing at camp, though? Basketball? Because they forced you into it?
Oh, I wouldn't have shown up to one of those if I could have helped it. I was an introvert too, but
okay. I mean,
just very pale and blonde is all.
Right. Yes, I also
could have moved among them visually, but I don't think I'd have fit in. I
also did not go to summer camp. That's okay. Let's Let's see here. So for me though, like for him, he was definitely interested at her from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you go into a new environment, you definitely look for people you might be able to like latch on to. How about this? I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely look for people that I thought maybe like if they're wearing a certain shirt or something. I also enjoy The Simpsons or that kind of thing.
Right.
Anything where it's like automatically like that damn Step Brothers meme. Did we just become best friends? Oh God, I'm in my late 30s and I still do that. Oh man, it's difficult. Okay, but I also like a natural progression of they're both going through difficulties at the summer camp together. And also, like, when they're talking to each other and he's explaining his allergies, I think it means something that he explained that if he is exposed to something, he will die. And she inches closer to him, to sit closer to him. And I think it's interesting because it's, like, affection. And I'm wondering if it's because just, like, not because, like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like, hey, here's a guy who's not afraid to talk about his own mortality. So I like this a little bit. And it seemed like kind of odd, but at the same time, it's just like he's also being pretty damn vulnerable with her.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's the vulnerability and it's the, not trying to be cheerful just for the sake of fitting in, which of course we're seeing kind of taken to a very exaggerated extreme in that summer camp. But what that's an exaggeration of is just kind of the way that like socializing works among most people, I guess that age or in general. It's like, oh, you're meeting new people. You try to like make pleasant small talk. And here's this guy just talking about like how badly this camp sucks and how it's going to kill him. And
oh God, I had so many relationships where we bonded over how much we hated something.
Yeah, exactly.
Those friendships do not last long. Well, damn it. Oh well.
But yeah, it's a personality thing, and I just think she was kind of recognizing a kindred spirit, and why be cheerful if there's no reason to be? Or...
Yeah. Also, like being forced into activities where it's just like, come on, bow and arrow time, and come on, sorry, archery. It's a real word. It's archery time, and it's like, let's rescue people and learn how to swim time, and let's realize my vision with my playtime.
Now, archery is something that you would have done at home. Let's be fair, but
oh God, Richie Richardson over here with his like pale family doing their rich privileged, because that's what being privileged is all about. Oh my God, those lines were so great.
I know. Yeah, that was yeah. It's laying on a little bit thick even for that movie.
Well, I mean, yes, but I applaud it.
Yeah, but no, I like playing with weapons. At least that's something that the Addams kids would have done at home, right?
Right, that's surprising.
Hence the proficiency in shooting that bird out of the sky.
True.
Yeah.
True. Also, I think they're able to kill without even trying.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just their gift.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow, that family's cool.
It also makes me think, along the same lines, just Gomez playing darts and like just like moving the board to catch them every time on the goes in the bullseye dart. Every time. Yeah, that's just.
Oh man, cool. All right, so now we've got like a little bit of just like this teenage, B story romance thing, which again is the most that I have to work with, even though I absorbed what I did. This is kind of a weird question, but like, so for the sake of our podcast, what happens next?
Well, we get to see like a little bit of the forward projection there at the end, right? Because the birthday party was like it was when the baby turned 1 year old, so some number of months afterward, and we see that the two of them managed to stay in touch, so at least they're still seeing each other periodically, which is very nice. Mm-hmm. And I would say that it would last for a little while, and probably move toward a lovely high school breakup that I'm sure Wednesday would indulge with all of the pathos that it deserves. And I was like mentally going over the major events in that time frame. I mean, I'm trying to think, is there like a good public tragedy that I'm thinking that I'm going to say it is precipitated by the death of Princess Diana.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's pretty early. Cause like the first thing I could think of was like 9/11.
Right.
But that's like a little bit too tragic.
Yeah. That's not like beautifully tragic, or like in the not that there's anything like beautiful about a car wreck, but in terms of like the cultural impact and the kind of like larger than life.
It's kind of weird though, because I think like the collective sorrow of that particular type of tragedy is something that they would just be like unaffected by.
And yeah, maybe that's what precipitates the breakup, the fact that
there's like a collective of sadness among there, so then they're able to recognize other people who are also kind of their own version of like morose.
Yeah, or maybe it just makes their own relationship seem kind of boring.
Oh,
Mr. Wednesday.
Hey, what's wrong with boring?
I'm sure she goes through a rebellious teenage phase where, like, maybe she does want something a little bit darker than that. I don't know. Maybe like tragic romance is too mainstream.
I mean, when you said rebellious phase, my first thought was, oh, she's going to find religion or something? She's going to wear pink?
I don't know. That's probably its own whole movie, but I don't know, because like as we move out of the 90s, like these kinds of like public tragedies do take a bit of an uglier turn. Like the 9/11, like you mentioned, school shootings. Maybe
Columbine.
Maybe she goes through an awkward phase that she cringes on looking a little bit back at later. Like, oh, that wasn't cool morbid. It was just morbid.
Right. I mean, do you even see like her potentially being targeted because of, a potential association for, hey, it's dark and broody people who do this kind of thing. So
yeah. That was a thing that happened when I was in high school. There were a few people in my social circles who were like, that guy's wearing a black trench coat. Is that like an homage to the Columbine shooters? And it's like, I was wearing this before. What they don't get to just ruin that. Come on.
Well, right. I mean, also The Matrix was out at the same time, so
yeah. It was confusing times.
Yeah. So, no, I can see that actually having a weird, impact on them. But again, they live in their own world, so
right.
I can see them having this whole thing. Like, so here's also an important question. You think, he's seeing her at a family event, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
that is a really big deal.
Yeah, particularly at that age, that'd be awkward.
Right.
Well, at least for normal people.
And he's dressed up like Gomez, which is its own. I'm curious what his parents would think about that.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like you don't necessarily emulate the girl's father if you're trying to impress her, but maybe it's more just like kind of moving into that like general sphere of style,
Could be, but I would also say that again, if you're around Gomez Addams, how would that not be your hero?
Yeah. Model for healthy romance.
Oh, man.
I say that unironically.
I know. Dang. I mean, so much charisma. How can you not be drawn to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But I think, again, Wednesday will probably have some issues, just like, again, trying to find something that's similar to your parents' marriage or your parents' like, relationship. And even so, geez, just like another shout out to Morticia is that even though her baby is going through some weird like illness of some kind of cuteness and not the outside cuteness, not Adam's cuteness. It's just like I applaud her because she's trying to connect with her kids. Mm-hmm. Although I would say that like they probably should have been a little bit more communicative with them when they were at summer camp, so that was a little bad parenting on their end.
Well, sure. I mean, you don't know what the children are necessarily going to need emotionally in those times. So
right. And Debbie did a really good job of saying they would deny it.
Yeah.
Damn, she's good. The point being is that the last scene of the movie, there's like this implied Wednesday would kill her husband. Like, she pitied Debbie because like she would have killed her husband and she would have gotten away with it.
Right.
And okay, important question. The hand, a la the movie Carrie that jumped out and scared Joel. Was that thing?
I would have guessed so. I think I saw a little bit more of a forearm. I mean, that's the easiest explanation, that like Wednesday just set that up as a prank, or
but they don't do pranks.
Well, maybe she's starting. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh my God, is he like? Well,
is that how you know that she really likes him?
Honestly, you know what I think it is? I think she's initiating him because in his vulnerability, everything would kill him.
Right.
I think she's trying to test him.
Aw.
Not test him like, let's see if you're good enough for me, but test
Right,
him just like, I think I
push his boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I made that ending romantic. And also, as someone with a lot of anxiety, that's not nice. I don't think it was a prank. I think it was a boundary pusher.
Wow. It might not be nice, but it is necessary. I didn't think it would be possible to empathize so much with Wednesday in that moment, but
I mean, anything can kill him.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't, to be fair, it's not like she gave him wool or like peanuts or something.
Yeah.
This was just like,
He's not allergic to fear.
I am.
No, you're not.
Oh, but if I go on a roller coaster, it will kill me.
We'll have to do one of those allergy panels for that, but they rub a little bit of roller coaster on your skin and mark it with a square,
Okay, but let's start with like a familiar roller coaster. No upside downsies.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. That's like Brazil nuts, versus peanuts. Alrighty. Science, yeah. So you think they're probably gonna, I think I have a little bit more faith in Joel.
Yeah.
That he'll stick around, but what's weird is that I'm gonna go with my weird scientific thing where Wednesday and Pugsley are perpetually children. And what's kind of weird is that I think in initiating him, like, what's really weird is that, like, they can't grow up in my head.
Well.
And so, like, maybe they have this ability of if he's going to be absorbed in this family, they're going to be, like, teenagers forever. And then eventually what's going to happen is that they're going to break up. And then he manages to leave the relationship, and then he weirdly sprouts into a 17-year-old or something, and then he's able to continue his life, but it'll be under a lot of scientific and psychological evaluation. Because what?
This okay, and I'm guessing this all kind of happens with that like weirdly natural way that these things happen, and it doesn't seem strange to anybody.
Right.
So I was going to say this is not presented as like an explicitly supernatural family. They're not like
fantasy.
Literally, yeah, kind of like actually, I think it's better described by like magical realism than anything.
Okay, no, I get with that, especially with the dartboard and everything like that.
Yeah, and the baby belching fire and stuff, and it's all just because like they're not.
It's not a belch. Okay, yeah. Fine, it was a belch.
Yeah, but they're like these characters aren't like, magical. They're not like vampires or they're, blessed with eternal youth or anything like that.
It's the monsters.
But, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're just people with this aura of weirdness around them that, it runs on narrative cohesion. These things happen because that's just the nature of the story. If you overthink it too much, it'll kind of fall apart, but we don't,
Fair enough. Okay, so the way I will describe it is that Wednesday and Pugsley, they will not age. Weirdly, Pubert will, but he'll stop at 5.
Okay.
All right, because that's how television works, right? Sorry, this isn't television. And what'll happen is that they'll be together for a little while. Joel and Wednesday will break up because it's just kind of the nature of things. And what'll happen is that when he does and he goes off to college, he'll have, I think what I'm talking about does make sense, and it will happen. It's just like they will be like perpetually teenagers, and then when he breaks up with her, he's going to have like a weird growth spurt, and that's not unprecedented where people just like get into like the later years of high school and college and they're just like grow. But I think there's going to be a weird thing about their relationship that has him weirdly stunted, and he does grow like emotionally, but they'll break up and then he'll go off and do what it is, and he'll be in a lot of therapy. But for some reason, his relationship with her will kind of do this strange thing to his allergies and 100% to his anxieties. Like she will have an impact on him. It won't be all of them, and he will try to find somebody out there. I don't think he will never find anyone who will replace. Again, he'll never forget her. She's too weird.
Yeah.
And if anything,
that is a good line.
And everyone will pale in comparison to her. But for the most part, kind of like her, she said, she probably won't have a family, and I can see that. And I can see that being with him too. They're perfectly happy people who just want to be alone and can be like okay with it.
There is something poetic about her kind of ruining him for future relationships.
Okay.
just in the sense of like, morbid danger befalling everyone kind of in their sphere, like the poor stripper and the cake and so on, that like Joel kind of gets damaged psychologically.
Yeah.
Not like in a serious way, but like in a funny way, because this is still a comedy after all. But...
Of course. That poor girl. Okay.
All right.
That's how it is. Oh, and as a side bonus thing, I'm going to imagine good things for Fester and dementia.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
They just look so cute together.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. They probably have so much to talk about.
Yeah, like why they both look like that. Like a little as long as they're not related, because that's
I don't think so.
No, I don't think they need to be in the logic of this movie, but
yep.
Yeah.
Happiness for them.
Happiness for them.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you for being with me as I work through this post-Polina period of the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm very glad to contribute.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being my crutch. I mean, guest. Okay. No, that works. Okay. So, I would love all of our listeners to continue the conversation with us. You can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HEAMCast. That's HEAMCAST. We're on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath. You can always like tell a friend, leave a review. That's an opportunity for you to share the love, help us grow the show. Ryan, is there anywhere that you want to direct people?
You can find me on Twitter retweeting the HEAMCast tweets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you find us, you can potentially find him too. God, that's so not nice to our listeners who want to follow you.
I'm not much of a content creator. I'm shy, but I'm around.
Oh, okay. So you'll find him probably on the podcast next, not too long from now. So, all right. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for listening, and may your aftermath be happy.